Yeah, I just wanted to let you know that I have to rent out my office on Saturday. I'm not going to be in the office on Saturday. Yeah, Halloween. Yeah, I'm not going to. No, some guy needs to use my office. He wants to change into his costume in here or something. Yeah. Okay. So if you see him, you don't throw him out. He's okay. His name's Clark. All right. Yeah. Bye. Hey. Welcome into a slightly little drizzly night here down in St. Catharines. Not overly cold, though. Going to be cold by tomorrow. I'm Sterry, your host of the 411. This is, believe it or not, episode 20, coming to you live from Fiddler's Poorhouse tonight. And we've got a pretty big topic that we're going to kick off the show with today, and we'd really like your feedback on it. Big local story concerning an MPP here in Niagara, and what a lot of people are thinking is a real no-no. And it's had a lot of ramifications, had a lot of comments, and we'd love to get yours. So we're going to tell you how you can do that when we get inside and get settled. A couple of other great things for Halloween coming up for you too. So stay with us. Yay! We have a winner. We just knocked down the sign. Come on in. In his never-ending enthusiasm to get the absolute perfect shot, Kevin Jack of WeeStreem backed into the street sign for Fiddler's Poorhouse, so he's going to have to run out and get that all set up. I don't think he broke it, but so get me wired up here for sound, because when you contact the program, which we really want you to do tonight in particular, this helps me hear you. So that's what I'm doing here. Oh, by the way, I think I'm going to lose the coat. Where did you hook that up, Kev? All right. I got to lose the coat. Yeah, it's getting warm in here. All right. Taking a little longer than usual. That can go up there. Oh, yeah. Can we try this again now? Thank you, man. Sorry about that. All right. Thanks. Okay. This temperamental talent, when you're dealing with temperamental talent, guys like Kevin Jack hate that. Producers, executive producers, why didn't you tell me you were going to take off the coat? I had you all ready to go. Why didn't you tell me? All right. Well, good evening. Welcome to episode 20, October 29th of the 411. We are fueled by Gale's Gas Bars. We are powered by WeeStreem, which is the Kevin Jack that you'll be seeing participate on the program. It's his and Brandon Schramm's technology at WeeStream. We can talk more about that later, but that's how you can see and hear us and get involved with us. Also, I want to thank Nick at Niagara 411. He is a constant source of content for this program. It's a great partnership, as well, of course, as Dave Mukarian and his staff here at Fiddler's Poorhouse. We have to put some people out sometimes because we have these bright lights shining, but that's the price of fame and show business, you know? So come on along for the ride. We would like your input on this first story. Now, you see the story on the right side of your screen right now as we live stream over Niagara 411, as well as live stream Niagara. And either way, you can click on the link at the bottom of those posts while you're watching this feed, and you will go immediately into our Zoom room, waiting room, and then Kevin will have a chat with you and put you back in this main live stream thing that we're doing, and we'll have a conversation and get your opinion. Now, there's the Zoom number 2. If you already have your Zoom app on your phone, it's right there beside me, 905-411-0411. Okay, now, let's look at this picture. You have seen this picture in numerous forums and formats over the last week or so. That is a gathering of which Niagara West MPP Sam Oosterhoff was a part. He's standing back in the back row somewhere. Now, this took place at a restaurant in Chippawa, a famous restaurant in Niagara, one of Niagara's favorite spots, Betty's Restaurant in Chippawa. So this was a private party. It was attended, they said they kept it to the minimums of, 50 people or some such thing. They were wearing masks when they came into the restaurant, apparently. But here we see 50 people. I'm supposing it's 50 people or less. It's supposed to be. I haven't actually taken the time to count each and every head in the photograph. But what is painfully obvious is they are A, not socially distanced, and B, not wearing masks, any of them. And be they family members or not, this is something that has caused quite a concern. Nick at Niagara 411 had over 900 comments, and they're still coming in, about this gathering. Andrea Horvath, leader of the NDP, suggested, in Ontario that is, has suggested that Sam Oosterhoff should resign. She brought it up in the legislature. Premier Ford has done no such thing than by asking Oosterhoff to resign. He says he supports him. Everybody makes mistakes. And another comment that was made about this gathering, when I saw that Sam had, Mr. Oosterhoff had actually apologized. Okay, it was a pretty quick apology. Said he should have thought something different and done something different. Okay, is such as it is. But he made some reference in one of his writings, if you will, that it was they got together for a quick pick. Now, have you ever been involved in a group photograph? Have you ever been involved with trying to take a group photograph or be a member of a group photograph? Especially, I mean, even when there are 10 people, let alone 50, there's no such thing as a quick pick. These things are choreographed carefully so that, big kids in the back, short kids in the front, people are kneeling, kids on their, there's no such thing as a quick pick with that many people, or any group of people, for that matter. Mr. Oosterhoff has declined to do a whole lot more than send out the original apology. He is the MPP for Niagara West. He is also Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Education here in Ontario. That is a pretty important position, considering everything that's going on in the world of education as well, with regard to the whole COVID thing and back to school, et cetera, et cetera. And people have been screaming for justice in some manner with regard to this event. So that's part of the discussion. That is one angle of this story that we would love you to come on and have a chat with us about. Over 900 comments on the Facebook page. So that means there is somebody watching this program right now that would love to come on and give their opinion and have their voice heard with regard to this event at Betty's and Sam Oosterhoff's private family gathering. That is one part of the conversation. And again, the Zoom number is 905-411-0411 if you have that app on your telephone. If you don't, just click on the link at the bottom of the feed and we'll get it done. If you would like to be a part of this thing, if you have any intimate knowledge of it, if you know some of the people involved, even better. So we would really like to have your participation. Now, Kevin, the other part of this story is reflecting negatively, or has been at times, reflecting negatively on the location that this was held. Betty's restaurant has kind of gotten caught in the crossfire of this whole thing, because one would say on the face of it, it looks like the staff or the management of the restaurant wasn't controlling its patrons. Now, the story and the comments that we heard from the restaurant, from the owners, from the servers and the people that were looking after this group, is the fact that they were repeatedly reminded of the rules with regard to social distancing and masks and COVID protocols when dining out in a public place. Even though it was a private room and it was a private gathering, those protocols still have to remain in place. So the serving staff and everybody there said, hey, we tried to make this happen, but there was this sort of impromptu thing, and this picture took place. So a lot of different angles to this thing, and not only is it on the surface that one story, there are deeper things about it too. For example, all restaurants are trying to stay in business and make a living these days. The last thing a restaurant, especially an established family business like Betty's has been for many, many, many years, the last thing they need is this kind of bad publicity growing out of proportion. And we're afraid that perhaps some of that proportion has been stretched a little bit beyond the boundary, because Betty's restaurant owners and operators and people have been through a fair bit over the last little while, which is kind of gives a smooth segue to give you an idea about some of the things that they've been struggling with. The owner's daughter passed away in July the 25th, of a terrible disease.
It was osteosarcoma.
So they've been going through a lot of different things over the last little while, and Kevin has some pictures and some other things he can ramp up here that we can have a look at.
Get to that, Lee, but I mean, just a terrible time, and to have any shade thrown on the owners of Betty's just for being the establishment that Sam Oosterhoff had chosen is wrong, unwarranted, invalid.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. I honestly can't believe it, especially an institution in Chippawa that is Betty's. Members of the community, people that give back to the community, and then a family that has lost so much this year alone. To all of a sudden have this fall at their feet is just ridiculous.
Yeah, well, that's where I was going with the last part of the comments is, whenever you see a story like this, there are already a couple of facets of it that jump out, but there are so many hidden nuances of the story and impact on other people that that you wouldn't ordinarily think of. But it has come out over the last little while because the proprietors of Betty's restaurant have gone out of their way to ensure the fact that they can keep their image as clean as possible and explain away anything that might indicate that they were culpable, for the lack of a better word. That's my word, not anybody else's word. So where do you come down on the side of this? And again, I don't want to make my opinion or our opinion your opinion. There were some of the comments, to be perfectly honest, in the interest of full disclosure, there were many comments that said, hey, the whole mask thing is, they maybe not anti-maskers, but anti-gathering, anti-people. It's like, it was okay. It was family. They were in one room. It was separate, etc. I don't think that holds any water, because those 50 people can't be just in each other's bubble and nobody else's. I mean, that just makes no logical sense whatsoever. Should there be something done as far as admonishing in a stronger manner MPP Oosterhoff by his boss, the Premier, and his government, the government of Ontario? Should there be some sort of public acknowledgement or removal, at least as assistant to the Minister of Education? I mean, if he's kind of advising or helping the Minister of Education make decisions in these very complicated times, what does this say about his decision-making process? What sort of advisors are surrounding ministers to influence, perhaps, decisions, protocols, or processes that they're thinking of putting in place? It shows a rather stark lack of judgment, in my opinion. But again, it may not be your opinion. Would love to get a dialogue going here on the program, and all you have to do is have a phone or a computer with a camera and a speaker, and almost everybody has one of those these days, to get involved with this program. We won't bite, I promise. You don't have to agree with us. As we were saying last week when we were talking about debates, the old expression goes, I may not agree with what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. So that's why we're here. That's why we do this show. So let's review. A picture showed up the day after this event with the story that it was an Oosterhoff family gathering that was in a sectioned off room of Betty's restaurant, an iconic restaurant in Chippawa, in Niagara. He is the MPP for Niagara West. He is also the parliamentary secretary for the Minister of Education, Mr. Lecce. He apologized, said it was a bad call. Yeah, it was a bad call. But that's about as heavy as the apology got. There was certainly no falling on swords or anything of that nature. It was brought up in the legislature by the leader of the opposition that he should be admonished or removed or should be asked to resign. Premier Feulled again said, no, everybody makes mistakes. Everybody does make mistakes. But this wasn't just like an oops. Like I went to go into the gas station and I forgot my mask, so I had to put a napkin over my face because the guy wouldn't serve me. That's an oops. That's a mistake. When you're in a position such as that MPP was, that's a decision. That is a conscious decision. That's a little bit more than an oops. It's a little bit more than a mistake.
Now, Lee,
yes,
we've got
Kevin.
Jonathan here who has answered the call, and he's sitting in the Zoom room. My assumption is that he wants to join the program and has an opinion on this.
Okay.
So let's see if we can get Jonathan in here. And hold on one second.
Jonathan?
There we go. Hey, Jonathan.
Did we get you, John?
Hey, what's up, Jonathan? We can see you, man. Did you have anything to say on this?
Not sure he can hear us.
Yeah. Oh, well, I may have clicked on the link by mistake, but see, it's that simple. All right, Jonathan, there's your 15 minutes of fame, brother. We're getting no reaction. He's stone cold, huh?
He is watching. He's involved. If you can hear us talking to you through the speaker, we are trying to talk to you.
Yeah, he'll probably react here. All right.
Maybe we'll try again. Nice looking fellow, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Looked relaxed.
Don't know
a little
him.
bit of the 5 o'clock shadow thing going there.
Don't know him, but it's that easy. It's that easy. All you got to do is just click on that link, and we'll throw you on the program. And we know people have opinions on this. I mean, 900 plus comments on Niagara 411. Lee, you were mentioning before what the family's been through.
Yeah.
And Julianne is somebody who I'll say I never met Julianne. She passed away July 25th of this year, but I remember through City Councilor of Niagara Falls, Mike Strange, is a champion of children battling cancer. For her, it was osteosarcoma. And here's Julianne, and this is just earlier this summer. And she's putting out inspirational videos in her final days.
This is, Julianne, daughter of the
Joe
owners
and Bernadette
of Betty's restaurant.
And here she is running to inspire others.
Yeah, staying motivated herself. And the family has been through a lot over the last little while, and now we've got this ridiculous COVID story that is once again put more stress on them than they need at this time. And again, Juliana passed away on July the 25th of this year. Sad, but also an inspiring story for Juliana. And again, Mike Strange has been a champion of battles against cancer for a long time in Niagara. So kudos to him for jumping on board and trying to tell those stories, and Juliana's as well. And again, drawing awareness to those kinds.
Yeah, and Lee, I'm going to try and pull up a photo here, and it's Mike along with three moms. The mother of Alex Louie, and then another young Niagara resident who all, at a very young age, lost their lives, and there they are in front of Betty's. Just to talk about what an establishment it is in Niagara, and how much they care about a community and how much they are a part of our community, and to have people from faraway places just criticizing them on social media and just leveling shade all over them for nothing, simply for operating.
Did you get it up on the screen, Kev?
I'm going to. I'm working on it.
Okay. He's working on it.
I'm also working on talking, and I think we've got Dave Benison coming up here in a couple minutes.
Yeah, okay.
But I do want to get that because it was very telling about just what a part of the community Betty's is, and I feel so bad for the owners to be embroiled in this, to even be mentioned alongside, even be part of the story, seems radically unfair.
We can only hope that it did not do anything or will not do anything to harm the ongoing success or liquidity of that establishment, because that would be unfair. In my opinion. I guess everything that comes out of my mouth is my opinion, so I don't have to say that.
For what it's worth, Lee, I did reach out to Betty's this week.
Yeah,
and and offered them an opportunity to come on the program because we wanted to shed a positive light on Betty's and kind of throw it an olive branch and say, listen, we got your back, the community's got your back. We're not on that side of the debate. We're pro Betty's all the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I was in that restaurant, I would say now, it was probably a month ago. A group of fellows that I play golf with from time to time, and we were socially distanced, I might add. We went to Betty's after a game out at the Legends facility off Willoughby Drive there in Chippawa, and the protocols were excellently handled. Everything was as it should be. The staff was masked. The distance between the tables was correct, and everything was hunky-dory. So I just wanted to pass along that one personal experience about that. Now there's a picture that Kevin was talking about. 3 moms, myself, Kat Louie, Claudia Nigu with her daughter Lizzie, and 3 children that passed away with osteosarcoma cancer. That is what you noticed in the picture when Kevin put Juliana up on the screen just before she went for her run. It is osteosarcoma cancer. 3 children in that group, in that family circle, passed away within a year of each other. Emma, Alex, and Julianne, all reunited by one special guy, Mike Strange, from Heater's Heroes, a lovely lunch and day with the most beautiful people ever. So that sums up the core of what we were talking about there. Can you imagine? Losing any loved ones is very difficult, especially when parents lose children. That's not supposed to happen. But when you have 3 in that drama, it must be absolutely devastating to be able to deal with life's traumas that are that traumatic on a regular basis. Takes special strength and a special circle of friends and people like Mike Strange, who constantly hold out olive branches to people like this around Niagara. So on one side of this, it's a warm Niagara story, and on the other side of it, it's a story that should never have happened. And I don't know that we've heard the end of it. I don't think we should have heard the end of it. Judging by the number of comments that have been in over the Niagara 411, you don't want to have necessarily heard the end of it either. And now throughout the program, we are going to have a couple of guests on today. Dave Bennis is going to be coming in, do a little bit of a Halloween bit for us on some historical Niagara haunted locations, kind of get you in the Halloween spirit, if that's possible with this COVID-19 2020 thing going on. We're also going to be talking with science writer with the Weather Channel and meteorologist Scott Sutherland about some funky science things that came around that you might be interested in over the last few days.
Forget it. Also that weather, Lee. I mean, look at that.
Yeah.
That's not pleasant. That's not nice. It's not nice. Looks like winter's on the horizon.
Yeah.
Don't like that one bit.
Okay. Yeah, it's going to be really cold tomorrow.
Want to get Dave on here?
It's going to get down cold tonight, and it's going to be rather icy tomorrow. Thankfully, Halloween's going to be a little bit warmer. Are you going to be trick-or-treating? I don't know. So, Mr. There he is in his Halloween regalia. Dave stick to the story Benison, and also with his hilarious House of Frightenstein t-shirt on. Kudos to our favorite fright guy, Mitch Markowitz, as well, if he's tuning in. Dave, how are you? I can't hear you, mate. Are you muted? Mm-hmm. We're working on it.
I don't know what's going on there with Benison today.
Dave's talking. Hey, Dave, if you can hear me, we can't hear you right now. But
yeah, okay. It's,
Kevin's giving it the old college try.
We're gonna work on that.
Okay. There was another. Just to let you know, these comments on Facebook, and I appreciate. Don't get me wrong. I appreciate all the comments and all the people that want to get involved with a site like Nick's Niagara 411. One of the things that we've talked about often on this program are people that need to be rescued, and we've had debate about people that are going where they shouldn't go in Niagara, off trails or into the gorge or something, and then have to be rescued because they did something they were unprepared for, or something that was just completely breaking the rules. And we get that. I kind of feel that way too. When it is in actual fact something that someone else has done wrong, the debate goes on as to the rescue people and the protocols should be somehow compensated, or the person should be fined, or whatever. Now, a story unfolded over the last couple of days about. Okay, I think we're going to have some, but let me finish this thought. First of all, is a lot of the comments that came out when they saw the rescue equipment in the area, that it was somebody else doing something wrong, some idiot climbing fences and going into DeQ Falls area that they're not supposed to go into anymore, and blah blah like this. And then one of the comments said, why don't you just wait till you find out exactly what's going on, which was great advice, because unfortunately there was a person found deceased, was discovered by a couple of hikers, and was found deceased with no evidence of foul play, according to the official word. And our hearts and thoughts go out to the family and friends of that person. And it always is a good idea to show some discretion before you comment on things, I think. So that's where that was going. I think we have maybe our historical notes, Dave Benison, back here. We got you, David?
I'm here, but can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, we're good? Okay.
Yeah.
It might have been some setting somewhere. Anyway.
Well, we got you. And as I was mentioning before, nice hat.
Thank you.
Love the horns. And I know I don't know what Mitch paid you. Oh, Mitch doesn't pay people, does he?
That's right.
Mitch
I like
doesn't
the
pay
grog.
people, does he?
No, he doesn't.
Nice shirt too.
Yeah, I think you got one of these. So.
I got one of those, yeah.
Yes.
So anyway, let's get to what we were talking about. We have Halloween coming up, and it's coming up on Saturday. And you have lately been doing quite a number of vignettes for Historical Niagara, the website.
Exactly.
And they've been getting a lot of traction. And you and I were talking a little bit earlier this week about talking about some of the haunted attractions in Niagara.
Yes. Well, of course, Niagara, basically from Niagara-on-the-Lake to Fort Erie, it's pretty much all haunted up and down the entire.
Now, what would lead you to make a statement like that?
Well, Niagara-on-the-Lake is considered one of the most haunted places in Canada. For one of them, of course, we had the War of 1812 here, and a lot of these hauntings are attributed to a lot of the battles that happened. So that's why, and of course, so much death and mayhem happened all along here in the War of 1812 that, it just kind of goes hand in hand, right?
Yeah.
Of course, there's a lot of other stories, but that's one of the really interesting things with the Niagara area is there's a lot of really interesting places with a lot of history, but you can actually go there and do like ghost hunting and stuff. They're known for ghost hunting places, and I thought maybe we could talk about a few of those that people and they can go to. And of course, two of the ones that you've probably heard of. One of the most famous ones in Niagara is the Screaming Tunnels.
Of course,
Thorold.
yeah.
And that's of course a real famous place to go. One of the interesting things with that is they shot a movie there, The Dead Zone, with Christopher Walken back in the 70s and late 70s, early 80s. And so it got really well known for that. But it's a local place that a lot of Niagara people go and check out. And of course, the tunnel it's a really interesting tunnel built in the 1800s, and of course the lore that goes with it. And it's like a lot of things. There's a myth, there's a lore to it. A lot of lore has a little bit of truth. I don't know how much truth is in this one, but of course the haunting that is known there is about a little girl that came from a house that was on the other side, ran through, and she had died in the middle of the tunnel, possibly on fire. There's a whole bunch of different stories. They say if you go into the middle of the tunnel and light a candle, the candle will go out.
Okay.
And so that's one of the ones. Very easy place to access. A lot of Niagara people can go check it out, or if you're visiting too.
Okay,
of
so
course,
jot
the other
these
one
down. That's Screaming Tunnel. Jot it down,
Screaming
everybody.
Tunnel in
Yeah.
Thorold, and you can Google it and find it. Of course, the other one, which is a lot harder to get to these days, is the Blue Ghost Tunnel. And have you ever been to that place, Lee?
I have not, I confess.
So that one is out behind the GM plant off of Glendale Avenue.
Oh, Plant 2.
Yeah, Plant 2. Amazing history with this. A lot of it tied in with the Welland Canal. Of course, the second Welland Canal, when they built it, they actually built the canal over top of a railway. And it's a railway tunnel that goes underneath the canal. The ghost story there is that the train that went through derailed a couple hundred feet from the tunnel. And apparently there was a couple people killed there, and you will see the spirit of one of the train conductors that died in this tragedy.
Now, is this open to the public?
It is and it isn't. This is a tricky one. For a long time, you used to be able to go out behind Plant 2, and you could drive out and park and walk in. But they've increased a lot of security now, so it's a tougher one to get to. A lot of people will access it by parking up on the mountain at... there's a park up there. It's leaving my mind right now.
The conservation area?
Yeah, the conservation area.
Wood End. I think that's Wood End.
Wood End. There it is. Yeah. So Wood End, and then you have to walk along the Bruce Trail and come down to it, and that's sort of the way to access it. There again, it is kind of on the St. Lawrence Seaway property, and so you got to be careful going there. The problem is so many people have gone there and vandalized it over the years that sort of wrecks it for everybody, right? So
that's the case.
There's another really interesting. There's two other tunnels that a lot of people don't know about there, and they're old tunnels when the railway was built and when the canal was built for St. David's Road. Now, St. David's Road used to go from St. David's into Thorold. This was before the canals were built. That was the only way you could kind of come into Thorold. When they built the canal and the railways, they had to find a way to get around this. So they built two tunnels under. Those two tunnels are actually still there. One's on the back of the golf course that's there off of Glendale, and another one is actually out behind the plant. Now the one's kind of filled in and collapsed, but the other one you can actually see right through it.
Now,
that's the old St. David Road.
Were these tunnels for automotive?
Yes,
traffic?
Back then it wouldn't have been automotive, it would have been horse and buggy.
Yeah.
And then early in the 1900s, I think they all closed down when the third canal was built and the bridges were built. There was no need for these there.
Okay.
So that's two great ones in Niagara. Now, one I'd like to talk about if we got a couple of minutes.
Yeah, you got a couple minutes.
I just filmed there yesterday, and it's still in Niagara, but Port Maitland.
Kevin, by the way, David, Kevin had some of the footage from your latest posting.
From Port Maitland. Playing,
and he's got some up there right now.
Awesome.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Port Maitland is such a great history. And when I was doing the research for this place, I knew a little bit about it, but it was really fascinating to find out this is a really old place. And it goes back, well, of course, the indigenous people would have lived, camped, fished all up and down this part of the Grand River. And it was really significant, probably for thousands of years. But in the 1600s, there was actually Franciscan monks or priests that came there.
Yeah.
And there was a famous one named Father Brebeuf, and he was a Jesuit priest. And they actually came, they would have probably, not really camped out there, but explored the area. For a long time, it was thought that they actually camped there in the wintertime. And up in 2012, they did some investigation, and they found out that it actually wasn't at Port Maitland. It was in Port Dover.
Okay.
They actually found the site in Port Dover, the mounds where they camped, and there's a plaque there. You can actually go there. It's on the Lynn River, just north of there. So, but coming back to Port Maitland, War of 1812, right after the War of 1812, the British Navy, actually, that's where they were stationed. They had 4 warships here to guard Lake Erie, because in 1815, they didn't know what was going to happen with the Americans. Still, it was still a bit of uneasiness. So the British actually built a Navy depot there. It was actually built by the guy that built Penetanguishene. And so they built this here and guarded the area. Now, in about 1850, it started, the fears were kind of over. The Americans were, gearing up to go into the Civil War, and that was all happening. And what happened was there was a ship they were taking, so they were the 43rd Fusiliers, ground soldiers with their families, and there was like 200 of them put on a ship to leave. As the ship left out of Port Maitland, it actually crashed into another ship, and this ship sunk, and it took about 40 of the soldiers and their families with them. What's really interesting is...
And these are the spirits that apparently haunt us to this day.
Well, what's interesting is they are buried in the graveyard at Christ Church there. So we went and did an investigation yesterday, and there was some pretty interesting things that showed up. So and that I mean, there's so much with Port Maitland. Of course, Port Maitland, and this is a whole other complete story on its own. The Welland Canal. So when the first and second Welland Canal were built, they actually ran a feeder canal over to Port Maitland. And for a little time, when the second Welland Canal was being constructed and under construction, the ships actually went to Welland and then came across to Port Maitland, and it became like a hub of shipping. And,
now, just in case we missed that, how do people get there? What's the route?
To Port Maitland? Yeah, basically, you want to go to check this out. Go Highway 3. So, say to Port Colborne, you can take Highway 3 heading west, and you'll get to Dunnville. Yeah. There's 2 sides of Port Maitland. So, on I guess it would be the east side, you can turn there's a McDonald's there. You can turn and follow that down to Stromness, and then there you turn, and that'll take you out to the east side. There's something really interesting there. And then if you want to go the other way into the middle of Dunnville, you cross over the Grand River, first set of lights, you follow that to the end, and that'll bring you right to Port Maitland. Of course, there's an old lighthouse there from the 1800s. You can walk out onto the pier. I don't know if you've ever been there, Lee, but it's a fantastic walk.
I've been in the area for sure, yeah.
Walk out onto the pier and see the lighthouse. Of course, the lighthouse has great stories that go with it, and possible ghosts from the lighthouse keepers there. And there's several shipwrecks that happen there, and of course, all those spirits could still be in the area. So I think it's pretty interesting.
Dave, thanks. And your new historical short was posted today on Niagara 411 as well, and it involves some of the things that you were talking about. So.
Yeah, all about Port Maitland, and we're actually going to do another episode all about the feeder canal, because there's a lot of interesting stuff on the feeder canal. That'll be another episode.
All right. So when you were talking about the War of 1812, just to recap, so I'm assuming that the so-called haunted areas, like through Queenston and places like that, would be a result of the soldiers that died there, correct?
Many of them would be from the soldiers that were killed. And there's been a lot of sightings.
Well, when you invest, that's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
When you investigate something like this, and when you say sightings, like who's seen these things? Who's tried to document this?
You've had, of course, several different. I guess we call them ghost hunters or investigators. I had an investigator with us. I can give her name, Michelle DeRoche.
Oh yeah, we know Michelle.
Michelle. International. She's been on Netflix. She's been on tons of shows, well known all around. So she came out and they brought what was called a spirit box.
Okay.
And it's a device. I don't really know exactly how it works, but apparently it picks up the voices. So you ask it questions, and it will pick up the voices. We actually do some. You can watch it on the thing, and you'll hear the voices talking back to us as we ask a question.
All right.
And then they use another device, a handheld device, to pick up different voices and stuff. But there have been, of course, throughout history, apparitions that have shown up, all across. Niagara area, of course.
Okay.
Niagara-on-the-Lake being one of the most haunted, one of the most observed places for ghosts.
Yeah. So I got to run, Dave.
Yep.
Thanks for coming on again. Dig the hat, love the shirt.
Oh,
and,
love it. I was going to say hi to Scott. And
well, you just did. I think he's waiting in the other room.
And Scott's probably going to talk about, I'm not going to spoil it for him because there's something really cool happening on Halloween. Well, I'm wearing the Halloween stuff,
right.
so.
Okay.
It'll be awesome. Hey, Scott, if you're there, nice seeing you.
Okay, bye.
You have a good one.
Bye.
Thanks, Lee.
Thank
Bye.
you. All right.
The castle lights are
Oh, gosh.
I feel like what was it in the old days, when they used to give them the physical hook? There's that big hook that would come
There's
in.
the hook, pulling him off. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I wish Dave would come out of his shell a little bit more. He just needs to share more. Okay, so the Scott he was talking about is a gentleman by the name of Scott Sutherland. And Scott is also a world-class geek like Dave is. That's how they know each other, through the whole world of geekdom. But on the positive side of geekdom, he's also a pretty smart dude when it comes to things scientific, especially to do with space. And also he's a meteorologist with the Weather Network. He's also a science writer with the Weather Network. Have not chatted with Scott in a while, but I thought because of this Halloween weekend coming up, it would be a great time to do so. Mr. Sutherland, good evening. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
We can hear you. My goodness, what a
Excellent.
Coincidence. How you doing?
Perfect. I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm well. You got the Movember thing going.
Yeah, a little bit. Yep.
Yeah.
A little early.
Well,
a little early.
It's a little lame at the moment, I have to tell you, but we appreciate the effort.
Quite the introduction there, Lee.
You're looking very distinguished today. So let's talk.
I can't agree with that.
Let's talk about what everybody talks about. Let's talk about the weather first. Apparently, we are headed for our first sort of cold snap. There might be some snow flurries around this weekend as well. I know you live in Hamilton, work in Mississauga. Have you seen any flurries yet?
No, I haven't seen anything yet. Mostly just showers and so forth. It's actually going to be possibly tomorrow morning for the Niagara region.
Okay.
So temperatures are going to get pretty cold overnight, and there's a chance that there'll be a little smattering of flurries across the peninsula by Friday morning.
Okay.
But the real chance they're looking at is actually for Sunday night into Monday morning.
Okay.
So that's one to watch for real.
Is that
but
like
you still have a chance tomorrow morning?
When you say for real, you mean accumulation wise?
Possibly. It just depends on exactly how the winds orient themselves. But yeah.
Okay, Kevin.
Yes, sir.
Have you got access to that picture of the moon?
Yeah, I'll pull that up.
That was up on. Scott can't see that, can he, from where he is?
No, I won't be able to. But a spectacular photo of the moon, and I guess it's only getting bigger and bigger,
with the two bright
right?
stars beside it.
Yeah.
What? Okay, tell us what we're looking at when we see that.
Well, the moon, obviously, which almost.
Thanks,
is
Scott.
full. Yeah.
You called on an expert for that?
Oh yeah.
You should take this act on the road.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
But that bright star, as you put it, is actually Mars.
Okay.
It's the planet Mars.
Now,
So. Go ahead.
Wait a second. That's Mars?
There are two bright objects, one on sort of either side of the picture that I saw. One being Mars. What would the other one be?
Okay, so if that's the case, let me go back to that picture, because that would actually be, I think that
where are you accessing?
Jupiter and Saturn.
Okay.
Would be the two, because it as the moon treks across the sky, it actually encounters Jupiter and Saturn first, and then a few days later it comes and encounters Mars.
Okay.
So,
because Nick posted a couple of pictures from contributors to his site on Niagara 411 that were just absolutely crystal clear.
Yeah,
that's the one I'm talking about. See, there's one. So if I'm looking right up at the moon, as this picture is, you can't see it on your screen right now. There is a really, really bright object just to the left and north a bit of the moon. That's Mars?
No, I think that's Mars. Yeah.
Okay, and then there
earlier in the evening.
Okay.
Earlier in the evening, you would be able to see Jupiter and Saturn.
Okay.
And you're talking with the naked eye here, right? We could just look up and see it.
Yeah, this is like just a naked eye picture. Yeah. Yep. So, and then there's a much dimmer object, just if you would say like off the north pole of the moon.
Oh, now that is actually a lens flare. That's an actual image of the moon itself.
Yeah.
That is on the lens of the camera taking the picture.
Okay, so there are actually only two objects in that picture.
Right. So if they had just shifted their camera just ever so slightly, that lens flare would have disappeared.
Okay.
But because they're at a slight angle, you get that little lens flare in there. But yeah.
Okay, so that's Mars. See why we have this guy on?
All right, so Lee, if I understand you correctly, the brighter one on the screen, which is to the left of the moon, that's a planet, that's Mars, and the one which is slightly dimmer above it, that's just a lens flare.
Right, you got it. Right. Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, while we're up there, let's talk about this crazy asteroid that that Hubble has clarified for some scientists. Here's the headline. You can fill us in. Yeah. NASA finds rare metal asteroid worth more than the global economy.
Yeah.
So
several times more than the global economy.
Yeah, they said this asteroid is worth, I don't even know how many zeros it has here, but it's worth 10,000 quadrillion dollars.
Yeah.
So
yeah, 10 quintillion dollars.
Is that what it is? Quintillion?
Currency. Yeah, quintillion. 18 zeros.
18
after
zeros.
that 10. Yeah.
Okay. Now, so tell us the history, because this isn't the first time that they've actually it was discovered years ago.
Yeah. It's called 16 Psyche. It's one of the. So I think it's because it's the 16th asteroid that was discovered.
Yeah.
So like 1 Ceres was the first, and 4 Vesta was the fourth, and so forth. This is 16 Psyche. It was discovered in 1852.
Yeah.
And it's somewhat unique in the fact that it is the largest all-metal asteroid. Most asteroids out there, like Ceres, is a big rock.
They're rocks, yeah.
Surrounded by ice. Vesta is a giant rock, maybe with a little bit of ice, crystals and so forth clustered on top of it on the surface. But Psyche is a giant. It's not even a ball. It's just it's like a football almost of iron and nickel. Yeah, it's a hunk of metal flying through space. And what they think this is that it is the leftover core of some ancient protoplanet that never had a chance to fully develop. Because like when Earth was very young, it got hit by a Mars-sized planet, and then that broke off the moon. According to what they're thinking with this one, something even bigger hit whatever this planet was, and just completely blew all the outer layers off of it, and left this naked core that's now flying through space.
And it's obviously cooled since it was
the
core of a planet.
Very, very much so. Yeah. So it's about 200 kilometers across, I think, and the value comes from the fact that it's a 200 kilometer diameter chunk of iron and nickel.
It says 226 kilometers across, and located at roughly 230 million miles from Earth.
Yeah, Lee, if I could interject here, Scott, doesn't this sound like some sort of Reddit writing prompt? Like there should be an entire movie sculpted around this premise.
I mean, just the reality of it is bizarre.
You know, Lex Luthor ends up getting it, and now he can buy the entire world.
Yeah, because I mean, what's the global economy was what, 150 billion dollars trillion last year.
Yeah, trillion.
So this is
a shame.
Yeah,
one of these
this is a trillion.
Quadrillion.
This is 10 trillion. So.
Now there have been stories, I guess, think tanks that have talked about the ability at some point in time to be actually able to mine asteroids.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yep. They're working on the principles of it now.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't have anything up there yet to do that. But yeah, that's something that's on the books that they want to do going forward.
So can you imagine somebody copywriting the rights to that place?
Yeah, plant a flag on Psyche, and you're set. As
like
well
Kevin
as
says,
the next
that could be
16
a whole
generations
of
descendants. Yeah.
That is absolutely insane. Now,
and then
go ahead.
And NASA is actually sending a mission there.
Okay.
Called Psyche. It's a spacecraft that will it's supposed to lift off in 2022, and then fly out to the asteroid belt, because that's where Psyche orbits. Never comes anywhere close to Earth. And 4 years, it'll take 4 years to journey there, and they'll rendezvous in 2026, and then orbit it for about a year or so. And then whatever extended missions they can get out of it, I'm sure they will. But it's basically to get a closer up look, determine the composition, narrow down the history of it. Like, where did this thing come from? Like, what was this? Just some failed planet that broke apart and that created the asteroid belt? Was this something that was here before Earth, and Jupiter and Saturn destroyed it before Earth and Mars and Venus and so forth could develop? I mean, it's fascinating what this could turn out to be. So.
It is fascinating. Going to come back to the moon for a bit here. This is a pretty special Halloween when it comes to the moon. This is one of those hunter's blue moon. The moon often has different names for different reasons or different seasons, and this isn't just a blue moon. It's a hunter's blue moon. But there's a bunch of things special about this weekend. Tell us about that.
Well, technically, what I've been calling it is the hunter's blue micromoon.
Okay.
A Halloween hunter's blue micromoon, for that matter.
Okay.
So what it is it's the first time we've had a full moon on Halloween since 2001. So that's 19 years for that.
Werewolves beware.
Yeah, leave it to 2020 to pull that one out, eh?
Yeah.
But technically, that night, the moon didn't actually become full until November 1st. So if you really want an October 31st full moon like we're having this weekend, you have to go all the way back to 1944, I believe it is.
Wow.
Yeah, 1944 to have the same kind of moon that we're having tonight.
Okay.
So it's also
gift that keeps on giving.
Indeed. So it's also a blue moon.
Yeah.
Which all that means that it is the second full moon in a calendar month. So we had the harvest moon back on October 1st.
Right.
And now we're having the hunter's moon, which is the normal name, typical name for the October moon.
Okay.
So having two in the same calendar month is one of the definitions of a blue moon.
Of a blue moon. Okay.
Yeah. Technically it's the incorrect definition. Some people will point out the actual correct definition is the third full moon in a season with 4 full moons. Because normally a season has 3.
Who knew a dead hunk of rock
but if you
like
time
the moon
them just
would have so many
right.
names?
I can only imagine
Indeed.
these are the
So,
same guys debating where the flags get placed, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But then it's also a micro moon, micro full moon, because it is the opposite of a super full moon.
Okay.
Super
tell
full
us the-
moon is when it's closer to Earth than usual. It's where it's, I believe the definition is something along the lines of if it's within 90% of its closest distance. I don't know. That doesn't make any sense to me. If it's closer than about 356,000 kilometers,
All right.
it's a super moon. If it's
Okay.
farther than about 406, I think, or 405,000 kilometers, because the moon is an elliptical orbit, not a circular orbit.
Boy, there's a lot of people that
Sometimes
make
it's
a
farther
lot of
away,
money figuring this
sometimes
stuff
it's
out.
closer.
Eh?
I can't wait to bore my kids with this weekend.
Wow.
Perfect.
Wow.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You know.
My job is
technically,
done.
It's not just a blue moon. Children, gather round.
Indeed.
No, your job is not done.
Okay.
Ben,
Well,
Benison was on. Our friend Dave was on earlier, and he
Yeah, I
said
noticed.
he said you had some exciting Halloween news or something for us. Does he know what he's talking about, or is he just talking through his funny blue hat? You doing something this Halloween?
I think he's talking through his funny blue hat.
Okay. He
I
said
think.
there was something exciting going on, or something you were doing for Halloween. No?
No, I don't think so.
All right, he left us both hung out to dry. We'll we'll get him.
Hey, Lee,
So-
do you mind if I hop in? I don't know if you're going to ask him about the weather, but I
don't
started
mind.
to see reports this week that like this winter is going to be brutal, or what? What are you hearing
Well,
about
ask
this
him about
winter
the
in
short-term weather, not the long-term.
Oh, okay. Well, how about both? What are you seeing?
Okay. Well-
Let's find out. We have a.
Well, I can do that.
Yeah, I mean, here we can pull up our little.
Well, no,
graph.
I just mean we have a seasonal. We have a winter
I'm only
preview.
I'm only kidding you.
I mean, there we go.
But
there we go. 4,
but the
7,
thing is
10.
that we have a La Nina developing. Like actually, we already have a La Nina right now in the central
wait a
Pacific
minute.
Ocean.
Wait a minute. We have a what developing?
A La Nina.
I thought that was the
a La
forbidden dance.
Nina.
Yeah, like
Not an
you know the
not an-
El Nino.
Not an El Nino, a La Nina.
It's the opposite, a La Nina.
Okay.
And La Nina tends to cause slightly colder conditions across Canada.
All right.
That's mostly focused in the west, so it doesn't affect us quite as much.
Good. I'm a fan of a La Nina.
But
then.
yeah, so we'll see. I think that I was just trying to look up to see if what we had for our specific maps of our winter preview.
Yeah.
But I think that's probably going to change up as we head further into the season anyway.
But by
So-
the end of the weekend, we could see some. In the beginning of next week, we could see some measurable snow.
Possibly, yeah,
Possibly.
possibly.
Sometimes you talked about the micro moon. Sometimes down here in our little Niagara microclimate, we skip some of those nasty things this early in the season.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is that this is all lake effect snow. It's not a big snowstorm that's coming across Ontario.
Yeah.
It's just cold air coming down over the warm lakes, and the winds are setting up just right off the lakes, picking up a lot of moisture and then blowing over. Now it's mostly going to be over London and across Barrie and parts of the GTA.
Okay.
If the winds are slightly shifted, then it could pick up a bit more moisture off of the western end of Lake Ontario and then dump that onto Niagara, St. Catharines, and so forth. So
Right.
it's going to come down to the timing and so forth. So don't be surprised if you see it. Don't be surprised if you don't.
That is spoken like a true committed weather forecaster. That is just, you walk the fence perfectly with that answer, my friend. You are a meteorologist to be reckoned with. Okay, so let me ask you one more question before I do set you free. It's been a while since we've chatted about things, and a lot more stories cross your desk and enter your brain than I have a chance to touch base with in a week. If you were going to pick a story over the last week or the last month or whatever that's been like sort of for you, the what's gotten your attention?
Just a couple of days ago, I wrote about the fact that there may be up to twice as much ice on the moon as we once thought.
Right.
So there are probable there are ice deposits in these polar cap craters that never see the light of day ever, because the sunshine always goes right over top of them. The interior of the crater never sees sunlight yet, so any water molecules that get in there just freeze solid these ice deposits, and they've detected them by satellite. But these team of researchers said, well, if these big craters can do that, there's all these little tiny ones, even down to a centimeter in size, of these little dark patches that never see sunlight based on the terrain. What about those? Could those accumulate ice as well? And they don't have any definites of actually detecting the ice, but they've done the terrain mapping and found that there are twice as many of these ice traps or cold traps than they thought. So,
and this is
they figure it could be an area equal to Lake Erie and Lake Ontario combined.
No kidding.
Of the amount of ice.
Wow. And this is important because anytime you've got liquid water, which is what ice can become, you have that's a key jump-off point for being able to explore deeper space, because you need water to be able to make fuel, etc. Right?
Exactly, and it's very water is very heavy. So if you can avoid having to pack it all in your rocket to take with you, if you can just pack a light, suitcase and then fly to the moon and have water there waiting for you, that's much more preferred than having to bring it along with you.
Cool.
And have all that extra weight to drive. So.
All right, thank you. This has been quite the moon pack show.
Well, we got an expert on the program, Lee. I've always wondered this, and you brought it up, about searching for the possibility of life beyond Earth. Why do they always pinpoint that oxygen, although the assumption is that the only possible way for any organism anywhere in the entire universe must have oxygen to survive? Why is that the determining factor? To me, it's so short-sighted.
Well, they think about the other ways, but we know so little about what other biologies the universe could conceivably do. I mean, we can think about these things, but we don't have any practical examples of it, and we can't make practical examples of it.
So why
either.
do people write it off and say, well, there's no oxygen, so nothing could live there? Well, how do you know that things can't live off?
Mostly they just want to first find stuff that we are familiar with, because we know what Earth required to have us develop on it. So when we look out in there in the universe, we can say, first we're going to look for the ones that are just like what we have, so that we know without a doubt that there's something there. Then once we start developing that, we can branch out and say, okay, well, what about methane-breathing organisms? What would we know from a planet that's solely inhabited by methane breathers and so forth? But we have to start baby steps, like walk before we run, basically, because we don't know what else could be out there, and we might miss things if we go spreading ourselves a bit too thin. So.
My uncle had a dairy farm. He was a methane breather.
I don't want to be a methane breather.
Not good.
No.
Scott Sutherland, thank you very much. As always, it's a pleasure to talk with you. It's nice to see your face again.
Seeing yours too.
Once you figure out what Dave has planned for you on Halloween, let me know.
Okay.
And in the meantime, we'll check you out on the Weather Network and your writings on some great articles you write right there on the Weather Network website. Science writer Scott Sutherland. Thank you, my friend.
You're welcome.
Take care. Okay. Interesting guy, and explaining that photo that everybody has seen that clues into Niagara 411. With the moon and that and what looked like two other objects, and it's a lens reflection. Isn't that pretty cool? Okay, so we have a couple of other things that we wanted to touch on today, but I still am looking for. I don't know, Kevin, whether because didn't bother to access the comments. I don't know that we've had any further comments on our Sam Oosterhoff story that we started.
We had a lot of people,
with.
commenting off the start of the show. We were talking about that at length, and of course, the show is always open. So if anybody wants to comment on that, just click on the link right there in the show description. It'll bring you into the Zoom room, and it's the same room that Scott was in, that Dave was in, and we'll bring you onto the program, and you can have your say.
Yeah. And it's easy to do, and the reason we wanted to make a big deal out of it is because both Kevin and I actually agreed that it was a big deal. One of the reasons being that it had so much response with our partner Nick on Niagara 411. When you've got over 900 comments that come in over a story, you know that story has hit a nerve in the public here in Niagara, and that story is one that's definitely touched the nerve. Betty's Restaurant, MPP Oosterhoff's group ignored COVID-19 rules despite reminders, and that's a story that was posted, originally done, as you can see there, on the byline by the CBC, and the story is very detailed. If you want to go on and read about it, you can do that, and because that link links you to the CBC story, and you can say what you want about the CBC, whether you're a fan of it or not, but they certainly do detailed and well thought out reporting. So I think just about all the details that you may want to know before you have an opinion, unless you already have one, is in that story. And there's the picture that started the furor. It's a private gathering, predominantly family, we understand. MPP for Niagara West, Sam Oosterhoff, is in that picture, and apologized for not wearing a mask when the uproar started, and called it a quick pick. There's no such thing as a quick pick when you have a gathering of 15 people who are trying to pose to take a picture. Trust me, it takes a long time to get people shuffling and jiving and moving around, and this person's here. And you talk about not social distancing. Taking a group photo is probably the least socially distanced process you could go through.
Like, you gotta think, like, what are you even thinking?
What are you thinking?
What are you thinking? Like, the optics of the whole thing, like, I know people have different takes on, there's anti-maskers walking amongst us, but as an elected MPP, as an assistant to the education minister in this province, what are you thinking?
Yeah, so someone in that position must have better judgment. You have to.
It's head scratching.
And of course, a reputable family business. Number one, a small business. It's a family business. They've been pretty successful, yes, but it's still. There isn't a chain of Betty's restaurants around the planet. I mean, there's one, and it's in Chippawa, and it's family owned, and restaurants in general have been suffering in 2020. So now to get caught up in a brush fire like this is just something that a business doesn't need. And kudos to the owners that have stepped up and said, hey, this is our side of the story. Their side of the story was the fact that they had repeatedly asked the people that were in this particular group to adhere to the rules and wear the masks and do the distancing and that kind of thing. But that didn't happen, apparently. So, what do you think should happen? What do you believe the next step should be? Be you pro-mask or be you anti-mask, the government has a policy in place. But when you have a representative of the government in public, they should adhere to the policy of their government, don't you think? I mean, don't you think? Does, as Kevin said, it does fall into that category of what were you thinking? Okay, there was a happening on, and I'm giggling because nobody was hurt, thank goodness, on the St. Catharines, the Garden City Skyway, the other night, I was headed home from the Fort Erie side of the Garden City Skyway, and as I approached it, I could see dozens and dozens and dozens of flashing lights on and beyond the crest of the Skyway. So, being the looky-loo that I am, and we all are, I sort of slowed down and wondered what the heck was going on. I didn't see ambulances, I didn't see bashed-in vehicles, but the highway was closed, backed up almost all the way to Jordan, the Fort Erie bound lanes. So here it was, Fort Erie bound, Garden City Skyway. OPP is the right lane blocked. And it seemed like they had the whole highway blocked when I went by for a cat that has made its way underneath a car near the muffler. Flatbed tow truck on the way to assist so they don't have to start the vehicle, because if they to move it. So because if they started the vehicle, obviously they could kill the cat. So I was asking myself, how does a cat, like, aren't cars moving when they're going over the Skyway? How does it, that's the cat. He is alive and well. He is residing currently at the Lincoln Humane Society. And if you want to claim him, he's there. Now, apparently, Kevin, and I could be wrong, as I understand it, a woman driving over the Skyway saw a cat on the railing and stopped to assist the cat. And of course, you're going to be a little tentative because you don't want to startle it so that it falls off the bridge. And so apparently the cat, this is how I'm reading the story. If it's wrong, somebody let me know. But the way I read it is, as she was attempting to rescue the cat, it bolted and went under her car. That's what I'm thinking. And now we're screwed because she can't get the cat. So,
well, if you startle the cat, it might run into traffic.
Yeah.
So this had traffic backed up how far?
Oh, it had to be well past Ontario Street, maybe to Martindale, because there were no cars getting through when I went there. It wasn't just one lane, and it was backed up forever. Now, there were a lot of comments about this story too, and some of the warmest comments were for the OPP and the emergency people for placing so much importance on saving the life of a cat that they went to all that trouble. Now, they were probably also trying to protect the person whose car it was, because that's not a very safe place to be stopped on the side of the Garden City Skyway with the amount of traffic that goes over there. Somebody could have been hit by a car if they keep whipping by. So no doubt it was for public safety as well. However, it's sort of a feel-good story in a way that that they brought all the heavy artillery out to save the little pussycat. So that was one that I really liked.
At first, when I heard that story, I didn't believe what I was reading.
I know.
What? Hold on a second. There's a big traffic backup because there's a cat stuck under a car?
Had to be some sort of hoax, right? But apparently, I saw it, so it was not a hoax. I'm sure there are some people that were waiting for quite some time in traffic that were not altogether pleased that they were trying to save a pussycat from running into traffic while they were waiting there. But how do you get mad at saving an animal? You know, like that's just adding insult to injury. So that was that one. I know there were a couple of other things, Kevin, that we had here. Oh, what about our COVID?
Yeah, let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at some of the numbers to begin with. and then we'll talk about how to register for a test, because they've changed that, right?
Yeah, well, they Niagara Health announced what they're calling a new COVID online booking tool. A tool being the word that they use for some sort of computer program, an initiative. So here's the total number of cases currently in Niagara, 109. Total number of resolved cases, 1,206. Now this is from since the beginning of COVID in March. Total number of deaths, 69. And total number of active outbreaks, 9.
I'm just going to scroll to the bottom here.
Outbreak defined as something that happens in a group sort of setting. Cases admitted to intensive care. This is now.
This
What is
a
the
number of
period for this
significance.
one, Kevin? Is that since the beginning, or
Yeah,
okay?
that's all time.
It's all time, 2.2%, which truly is a pretty low number. A total of 8% of cases hospitalized in Niagara since the beginning of COVID, and so when you chat with the anti-maskers or the people that say we're blowing this out of proportion, those are numbers that kind of, for them, would support that argument, because those numbers aren't big. Cases that have been isolated at home, a grand total of 89, almost 90% of cases were isolated at home and were resolved there. So as far as Niagara is concerned, if those numbers stay that way in the near future, it's unlikely that the province would back us up into some sort of modified phase 2, because those numbers right now wouldn't support it. New cases on October the 29th. That's today. 14. That's a little bit of a higher number. Growth rate is 1%. New cases yesterday, 12. So that's not headed in the right direction, but it's not what you would call onerous at this point. It's not in the danger zone, as they say.
They're not the numbers that they're seeing in Toronto, in Peel, in Ottawa, and some of the areas that have been stepped back to a modified stage 2.
One of the things that I found interesting, Kevin, and I don't have the information in front of me, but I was listening to the report when the Premier was doing his, he was actually in Barrie today doing his daily address. And after that, the numbers were announced for York, for Peel, and for Toronto. And they managed to also break it down as to what sort of sectors or activities were involved in the big increases in the 3 different places. Peel, most of the cases relative to the increase were in industrial type atmospheres. In Toronto, they were commercial style, like businesses, etc. And in York, the largest portion were attributed to social gatherings. And I found it interesting that they could break it down like that, and so that it was worthy enough of actually reporting. So it's not a smattering of everything that of all those sectors in all those places. So they're really starting to get finely tuned when it comes to doing some research. Now, here's what we were talking about before. Niagara Health launches a new online COVID test booking tool. All right?
Oh, you want to do it, Lee?
Yeah, let's walk through this and see what it looks like.
So here you go. Like a lot of things,
Yeah.
the first link that you click that thinks that you're bringing it to where you want to book your online test doesn't actually bring you there. You then have to click this link in the
That
text.
explains everything.
Why is everything always like that? Hey, click this link to bring you to book a test. And all it does is bring you to another page they have to click on to book the test. So let's click on that one.
Welcome to government.
And there we go. So here you go. So the first thing that they say is step 1. Well, you can go through this, Lee.
Yeah, do you meet the eligibility criteria? Now, we don't know what the eligibility criteria is.
Oh, yeah, it's right here. Here you go.
Well, let's find out. Showing symptoms, have been exposed to a confirmed case of the virus, or exposure notification through the COVID Alert app, which hardly anybody is using. A resident or work in a setting that has a COVID-19 outbreak. Eligible for testing as part of a targeted testing initiative directed by the Ministry of Health or the Ministry of Long-Term Care.
So here you go. Here's
So those
book
are the
your
criteria.
appointment online or by phone.
Step 2, book your appointment online or by phone, and then there's a scheduling click right there. Schedule a date and time.
Shall we click it, Lee?
Let's click it, Kevin. All right, now let's see what we've got.
Book an
If you're
appointment.
experiencing testing, you can also call the select number of pharmacies or testing.
There we go.
And then, okay.
Book an appointment.
Wearing a mask, clear your clean hands.
This is so easy, Lee. I'm 8 clicks in now.
Yeah.
Oh, and now I'm step 1 of 5.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. So
Okay.
easy, eh? So easy.
He said tongue in cheek. All right, so you got to go through all this and click those things
Click
to
which
indicate
applies, yeah.
or not.
So here, I'll say I'm showing
to
symptoms.
indicate whether you are. Yeah, let's say we're showing symptoms. Next step.
Oh my gosh. Travel outside.
Two-
Like, I just
wait
want
a
to
minute,
book an
wait a
appointment.
minute now. We're in step 2, but step 2 has 5 steps.
Yeah, I mean,
Right?
I just want to book an appointment here. How complicated can you make this be? Chills, sure. I got chills.
Okay, we got chills.
All right, I got chills. All right,
This
moving along.
this whole process is giving me chills.
Okay, email address. All right. I don't have time to fill all this
No,
out.
we can't. Not going to do all that.
There we go. Oh, where's the please option? Hey, they never give you an option of please or yes.
I don't know.
Under the sex?
Yeah. Yes, please.
I don't know. All right, so there you go.
Wow. And we weren't even through step 3 of step 2.
No.
And there's 5
No.
steps in step 2.
Gosh.
I wonder how many steps there are in step 3.
We hadn't looked at that before now, and we're not meaning to be critical, but it does seem like it's rather onerous just to do
Yeah.
what they say is now a simplified online process.
When I was at home today, I was reviewing possible topics for tonight. And we always do some COVID stuff. And I did come across that link that we just went on. I did not click it. I did not go into it. And the whole concept was the Niagara Health has released a more streamlined or easier way to book your test with this tool. If that's easy, I don't want to see difficult.
I'm there with you, man.
That's unbelievable. Okay, so I do want to take this opportunity once again. We've had so much going on here tonight. I do want to mention our all-time supporters, Gales, Gas Bars Limited, Feulled, the 411, of which I am the host, powered by WeeStreem. That's Kevin and his technology company that streams all kinds of different events, so you should check it out. There's the Gales reward sign and how you can find out about how to get involved with that and all the other great things that they do. Go to gales.ca. Everything is on there. Great supporters of our community as well. Nick, as always, at Niagara 411. Appreciate your efforts in trying to keep us all informed and up to date. And we also appreciate you allowing us to come in here and expand a little bit when we can on some of the things that show up on your site. It's fabulous to read the comments. We do appreciate the contributors to your site as well. And one of these days we will convince a few more people that it's really easy to click that link and get involved and come on the program. Some people are hesitant to have their faces broadcast live, but it's really not painful. It's pretty easy to do. So please think about doing that in the future. By doing that, you help us keep informed about things that are going on in Niagara. And even if you want to tell us a story that you think we should know and someone else can maybe tell it better, go to Livestream Niagara. All our contact information is there. Say, hey, I'd like to be a contributor on your program next week, and we'll get her done. Okay? So if you're a really shy person, you don't want to do it, but somebody's story needs to be told, tell us about it, and we'll tell it. All right? So we do appreciate all of you that support this program. We have fun doing it here in the lovely window of Fiddler's Poorhouse. And obviously, we're not doing it with the window open, but we still have that beautiful cityscape that you're going to have a look at in just a minute as we broadcast here from Fiddler's at 149 St. Paul. Kevin Jack is getting busier and busier and busier with his WeeStream Niagara business, and that is basically what we're doing now. We are live streaming this program, and this is a really simple production by the standards of some of the things they do, weddings and all kinds of things. So if you have an event coming up that you think you would like to have people join in virtually to share it with you, Kevin's the guy, and WeeStream is the company to talk to.
I appreciate that. Yeah, absolutely. We're doing all kinds of things. We're doing virtual events, managing virtual events. We're doing these hybrid events, still doing council meetings. We're busy each and every day.
And sometimes I'm not sure whether you stop talking because there are other people enjoying themselves in here.
There are. You can see it just over my shoulder. And I think it's about time we did, Lee. What do you think?
Yeah.
Before we did, I want to let you know that we're going to show you St. Paul Street here, as we always do, and we feature a local band. They were also featured on Niagara 411 this week. It's the Jimmy Stahl Big Band, starring Michael Van Hevel and Genevieve Renee Bisson. And Genevieve Renee Bisson, I just know her as Renee. She's fantastic. I know her through some personal and some professional friendship. She's great. So, Lee, I'll let you kind of throw to that. By the way, if you check Niagara 411, they do have a fundraiser coming up at the Greg Fruin Theatre in support of our veterans. So go to Niagara 411. You can find out more about the Jimmy Stahl Big Band and their fundraising efforts.
Thank you to our guests, Scott Sutherland of the Weather Network, Dave Benison, who does historical shorts on historical Niagara. Also, you can find him on Niagara 411. Really appreciate their time. My name is Lee Sterry of LeeSterryVoiceServices.com, and let's go to the Jimmy Stahl Band. Have yourself a good weekend.
Stage, Michael Van Hevel.
Make someone happy, make just one someone happy, make just one heart the heart you sing to.
The minute you walked in the joint, I could tell you were a man of distinction, a real big spender, good looking and so refined. Wouldn't you like to know what's going on in my mind? So let me get right to the point.
Little Sinatra for you here. Those fingers in my hair, that sly come hither stare, that strips my conscience bare, it's witchcraft.
Every day I have the blues. Every day I have the blues. When you see me worry, baby, 'cause it's you I hate to lose.
marvelous night for a moon dance with the stars up above in your eyes. A fantabulous night to make romance 'neath the cover of October skies.
Oh, skylark, I don't know if you can find these things, but my heart is riding on wings. So if you see them anywhere,
how lucky can one guy be? I kissed her and she kissed me. Like a fellow once said, ain't that a kick in the head?
I just found out about love and I like it. I like it. I like what love has been doing to me. I hold you close in my arms and I like it. Yes, I like it. Oh, what a wonderful future I see.
Wait till the warm-up's underway. Wait till our lips have met. Wait till you see that sunshine day. You ain't seen nothing yet. The best is yet to come, and babe, won't it be fine? The best is yet to come. I want to be a part of it. New York, New York.
These vagabond shoes,
yeah,
are longing to stray.
It's up to you, New York.